Kidding. Musical chairs. Yeah, I'm not vain. I was going to say it. It's not great. I said better. You didn't hear me say great. You heard me say better. Did I not say better today? Hey, Keith, get him, man.
But wait,
Don't let him
be
get
careful.
you like that, man.
No laughing. No.
Too much laughter. Oh, my Doc, they called in and said, we listened to the show and, what you want to let your guys know is so much laughing going on. So much serious stuff going on in the world. Y'all up there laughing. We need y'all to be serious.
I was laughing. I ended up killing him.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. Hey, you better take this laughter. I'll be outside your house.
I'm laughing. Man, my mama says sometimes you got to laugh. Cry. It hurt somebody, boy. I'm sitting up here laughing. It's like Sinbad when he came in late. He said his daddy was laughing. I guess
that's when you know you in trouble. That's when you know you in trouble.
Laughing. It was like, oh, that ain't a good laughter. No, sir. Oh man, funny when they get up there, my God, God love Caitlin. Like I get the clapping. We got 3 claps. He's old now. So let me do this. Ramadan Mubarak for all of my Muslim brothers and sisters right now. And so Ramadan Mubarak for you. Tomorrow is Fat Tuesday, right? Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. Fat Tuesday. You can eat whatever you want on Fat Tuesday. Fast is supposed to start on exactly. And just people would you give up something for that lives at 40 days between the Wednesday and Resurrection Sunday. Um, so people give up things. So somebody said instead of giving up chocolate, give up hatred. I thought, yeah, what we can do. So we'll do that. Mardi Gras is one and it's that all the conception before one goes into fasting. Let me do a cleanup on our two. A couple of weeks ago, Michelle and I were talking. We were talking about Cooley, and I mistakenly said that the cemetery was filmed. In fact, he wasn't on a hill. He waited till everybody left. He priest, Lynn Turner. He waited till everybody left. And he went to the grave, and that's where you get where the corporate brothers were not here. That was done in Chicago. So I apologize. Lynn Oaks? Yeah. In Chicago. So I apologize for that. I thought it was good. That's why you have to go back. I watched a great documentary called Black Enough for You. Really does the whole thing about black film from the beginning of black film up until 1976, 77. And it really talks about what we call black exploitation. It was really fascinating when you think about that, but they had the same from Cooley Cochise and buried. And I don't know if that is the between Cochise and Ricky, boys to men. Yeah, I don't know. They showed something. I went to see it. I don't know if you guys went to see Cornbread Open. Jamal Wilkes was in that. That was Lawrence Fishburne's first credited role. Um, Lawrence Fishburne in this documentary said that originally he was cast to be in Claudine, and originally He was gonna play the second son because he was a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs. Um, and the backstory on this movie I did not know was that originally Diana Sands was going to play the role that Diane Carroll ended up. Diane Sands died of leukemia, and so they had to go in. And so then they went around, did some recasting. And I think Lawrence Hilton Jacobs plays the oldest child. Mhm. Then that wasn't that song, Mr. Welfare Man? Yeah. And it's really and the thing about the documentary that was and you know it, you didn't think about it, and it became a model. And they talked about how black films really had impact on the industry in ways that they don't always get credit for. And they talked about how uh, soundtracks and how soundtracks then became it was sometimes bigger than the movie, and so they started off talking about Shaft. Um, now, I'm a big Earth, Wind & Fire fan, and That's the Way of the World is actually a movie. You go out and see this movie, and so that was the soundtrack of the movie. Maurice White figured the movie's going to bomb. He was right about that, and so they released "That's the Way of the World." I remember that album came out in 1975. I'm still in high school, and I just happened to be in D.C. in the Maryland area when they released the movie. It only played one day in D.C. It was just so awesome. Yeah. Harvey Keitel is in that movie. And so Earth, Wind and Fire and the things you guys were talking about licensing could not use the name Earth, Wind and Fire. So because Columbia wouldn't, I think they would have been still with Columbia then, either Warner Brothers or Columbia. So they in the movie they were the band. Yeah, that's what they refer to as the band. You see them doing recording "That's the Way of the World" in the studio. And so it was things about black movies that you just kind of look at and you don't think about when we look at some of the soundtracks they talked about. Obviously, that's with World Earth, Wind and Fire. Marvin Gaye did Trouble Man. Um, I think they said that I know Curtis Mayfield had at least three: Superfly, Claudine, and Sparkle. Those are the three that come right off the top of my head. That was off the mat. That was really Hutch. Now I don't. Yeah, there was just two songs on there, but I don't know. That album didn't really. Brothers Gonna Working Out. That's Willie Hutch. Willie Hutch, I didn't know was a writer. So you know, as I Choose You. I had let's see, it would have been my sophomore year in college. No, man, that my sophomore year in college. And there was this thing in DC that the women had. They come up to you and say, "You chose." And that gets back to it's, it's the woman that chooses the pimp. And they talk about everybody. One of my favorite actors of all time. Oh yeah, like, yeah, you know the rules. Yeah, they had what I thought, which was a great movie. And again, Dr. Leonard come on and we talked about that particular movie, the Mac, and Max Julian, then Max Julian and Vanetta McGee, who became husband and wife, partners basically for life. They had Thomasine and Bush Drive, which was kind of like a western, and it was this guy Elvis Mitchell. I don't know if you've seen Elvis Mitchell, but he's a film critic, and man, what an incredible documentary! If you love movies, certainly you talk about black movies, and things like talked about this a little bit. Gordon Parks directed Shaft. Gordon Parks Jr. directed Superfly. So it was these movies that we kind of went through. They talked about. I think in black cinema, the biggest female artist in black cinema is Pam Grier, and talk about the impact that Pam Grier had on cinema. Uh, so it was good. Just to just so and again, let me thank you. Overheard the conversation you guys were having. A lot of times, people you give them more money than then opens up the door for exploitation. And who I just kept thinking about Little Richard and how Little Richard had been ripped off, and how Little Anthony and here he was ripped off. If you look at Chess Records, everybody, oh my God, Leonard Chess, he really loved Etta James, but he was exploiting those artists. Give him a Cadillac, right? Give him a house, but the house is in his name. It was all those things that they're exploiting because good music, it is not like that hit. We always think, oh, it's a hit. No, no, no. It's the number of times it's played, right? And every time it's played, somebody's getting paid. And so you had people, and then even straight out of Compton, you find out what was that manager's name for NWA? But he ripped them off. He and then they kept saying, well, which I didn't understand, and maybe the suspicion people have, like, maybe I need to go to a lawyer, but then you figure if I go to a lawyer, I'm not going to have the deal. The other thing is you have a commodity that they want, which is your talent. And so then people are going to sit there and they're going to do, because Princeton signed for a long time. He wouldn't sign with a record label because there was no guarantees that he could keep his masters and that he would retain his publishing rights. I mean, those things is where we talk about it all the time. You listen to Aretha Franklin singing Respect, people getting paid for Aretha Franklin singing Respect is Otis Redding's estate because he wrote the song. So it really makes a difference if they give you credit. You always talk about the publishing credit that you might get. So the devil's always in the details, and they call it the small print in the contract. They're going to bury it in the contract and then come back. You look at someone like Don King. Now, look, boxing promoters have been ripping off boxers since there's been boxing. Uh, Don King, where he would go in, didn't Mike Tyson end up suing him because he had ripped off? I'm gonna give you more money than you've ever seen in your whole life. And Jerry Heller, thank you, Jerry, which gets into why there's so much animus directed at Jewish people in Hollywood and the record industry because that's what it seems like on the surface. But then there were black folks out there ripping off folks. There's my guy, the prophet, Reese White, how he ripped off the emotions, Boogie Wonderland. And so, yeah, I mean, if you don't go in, if you're just so happy to get a record deal,
Yeah.
you're not even sitting up there thinking, ready? Yeah.
Salt and pepper got to work.
Uh,
SWV.
Pebbles.
SWV.
Yeah, Pebbles.
Yeah, dirty. But this was all something that was passed down to them. This is all learned behavior. This is stuff that record companies was doing that signed them, that played them, and they got their own artists and played their own artists because it's almost like um, it's a money game. And it's unfortunate, but it's a money game. And the people that sign the artists, they take their chunk off top and then they give you
All this business.
It's yeah, because the deal, and I said this on the earlier show, the deal that was offered to me was crazy. It was a nice amount up front, but then the kickback was We want 75% of your publishing.
Like you all were talking about not just music. James Earl Jones tells the story about voicing Darth Vader.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they gave him the option. Lucas said, "Look, you can take points and you get it." And he said, "Look, I got to eat right now." So I think he said he did for like $5 grand,
We took upfront and ain't said nothing
and
else.
then see nothing else. And yet, when you think about it, as ubiquitous, when you think about Darth Vader, you have James Earl Jones. So it is a lot of times when people go into things like if you're a professional athlete now and you're going into major sports because now they have collective bargaining agreements, that really kind of protects the athlete. I think that there's a percentage there. I don't think it'd be more than 5% for your agent in terms of money that they can get from you. Um, I tell you, got ripped off real bad. New Edition, New Edition. I mean, it was like a star because then he do New Kids on the Block. No, it's a brother. It was either New Kids on the Block or no, it's a brother. New Edition's first man. Uh, and hey, they out still. Stevie Wonder don't have to work.
People, man, you know, they get this upfront money and think, okay, it's gonna come in like that all the time. Like I'm gonna get 850,000 all the time, and it's not like that. They start you off with that and put you in a hole. And so you go out and you buy all these cars and property. But then after a while, you find yourself struggling trying to maintain and keep these properties because you went out and spent your upfront money thinking it was gonna come in heavy, and it don't work.
Yeah, it was Maurice Stark. And Maurice Stark, I thought he did a white group.
So who was that cat that had B2K? I know he played. Was it Chris Stokes at B2K?
Backstreet Boys.
No, no, B2K. Uh, Maria. Yeah, yeah, B2K was a group. I think Chris Stokes had Marcus Houston and Omari. And there was another guy that was in that.
Yeah, Maurice. He did New Kids on the Block.
Um, so they
After
got
after
Star.
he
Right?
got fired from New Edition,
Yeah.
he ended up doing New Kids on the
A lot of these managers, they see the artist, and because the artists don't do their homework, they see an opportunity. And I know of a guy here. I'm not going to say his name over there. It was an up and coming rap artist from here that was making some noise in Atlanta, and he got in position to manage her. And long story short, he took her money and ran off.
Block. It is, and you hate to use the word trust, but Ronald Reagan put it this way. He said, "Trust but verify."
I like
And sometimes, you again, I mean, if you're looking at a lot of the artists, they come from situations where um, they're poor, and now you're on top of the world. They all the money that New Edition when they were on tour. And this dude charging them for everything, the hotel.
yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that the record company charges you to do the video.
They charge you. They give you the budget and then turn around and charge you so they can make their money right.
Oh yeah, they all the production. So it depends on what you go in the agreement. Most people are not going to have at first an entertainment warrior to go in and act on their behalf, or to have like a management agency that's going to go in and act on your behalf, put together the contract. So it's exploitation. Clive Davis, who all the people that Clive Davis has made. Um, Whitney Houston would be one. Yeah, but the Eagles and Neil Young. And so the Eagles end up suing Clive Davis because no, it wasn't Clive Davis. It was Jeff. Sorry, David Jeffers. He had Whitney. Yeah, he had Aretha. A lot of people that ended up going through Clive Davis, but no, it was David Jeffers, and he so he signed those original record deals. The Eagles want their publishing rights and their masters. He wouldn't. He gave Neil Young's his. The Eagles end up suing him, right? Or even when Dr. Dre wanted to leave Death Row, and they end up cutting the deal. He had to do one more album.
Either with him cutting that one album, he was either going to stay with him because if that album became a platinum or gold album, that would keep you into the market with the. So if you notice that with Prince, when Prince wanted to get out of Houston, I think Marvin Gaye did the same thing. He just threw them a bone.
Oh yeah, something, my dear. That album was
Yeah,
an awful album.
threw them a bone.
Yeah, yeah, I'll do an album for you. You didn't say it had to. You didn't say it had to sell.
That's it.
You know,
Okay,
you had that
13
with
songs out
with
of the wall.
actors. They can have a contract where you do one more movie,
Garbage movie would be something that,
or it turns out to be a great movie. Either way,
yeah,
you know, I don't know if it was the Rolling Stones who came up with the song. Everybody got to serve somebody. And when you go in and you look at contracts and contract language, and like I said, you just so happy that they offered you $250,000.
especially when you only got $250 in your bank account.
Yeah, and then it's tragic then to see the OJs and they're doing concerts on Cheers. You know the stories you guys would tell. You know about how people got to show up because they need the money, man. And then it is not like you have health insurance. You might not have paid into. Though I think you still might be eligible for Medicare if you had a certain age. Again, the Rolling Stones ain't like they need the money. They enjoy, doing the tour. Stevie Wonder. There are people out there who, they're not. I don't know with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think most of the royalties are going to Maurice White's estate. He has children, so go to his estate. He wrote the majority of them, or he wrote them. Uh, Philip Bailey, Larry Dunn, Maurice White wrote Reasons. Um, Surprisingly, though, it's one of their popular songs. It's not one of their biggest hits.
Really?
It's not one of their biggest hits. Reasons is a popular song. I mean, what I mean by that is people love the song. They're going to play it. It's played in rotation. But Boogie Wonderland was a big hit for them. The Beatles song they did, "Got to Get You in My Life," was a number one hit. Yeah, I mean, so it, yeah, After the Love Is Gone is not an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. That's David Foster and Bill Chapman from Chicago. They did it first. No, Earth, Wind, and Fire did it first. It was on the I Am album, and it became a hit. People loved it. It was a very popular song. And then you realize the songwriter, because prior to that, Earth, Wind, and Fire was pretty much in-house. They didn't bring in songwriters to do other people's songs. They did some covers. Open Our Eyes is a cover. They did. It was Where All the Flowers Go. That's on their. I don't know if it's on Open Our Eyes. So they were covering some people's songs, but then Maurice White started writing stuff, and then you saw later on where different people would come in and they would write songs. But again, because Maurice White was making sure he controlled what was going on, like off that Sergeant Pepper's album, the biggest hit was "Got to Get You in My Life" by Earth, Wind, and Fire, off of Sergeant Pepper from the movie soundtrack. So, and that's the other thing about soundtracks. So they talk about then how uh, majority movies never really depended on the soundtrack, but then they learned. So there's a company, I don't know if you remember this record company, SRO. You might not know who SRO is, but SRO are the people behind Saturday Night Fever. And what the guy did was he brought in his artists, people that was on his record label, to do that. And that became one of the biggest selling albums, soundtracks of all time. Then you had Grease. There were other soundtracks that, and so now you're going, oh man, we can make money on the back end because we can do that soundtrack. And it's and you can hear a song in the movie that won't be on the released album soundtrack because they can't get right because people going like, well, here's what I want. It's like when they do the anthologies, like Wow, this is gospel, and the songs that make it on there because these are different records. When you have different people coming in and performing, and you see all the credits, and they have to get permission, for this person to even perform on the album. So, cash rules everything around me, and if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So when people, oh, they like that, man. They in business. That's the thing about business. I always thought it was an oxymoron because like business ethics. Come on, man. Business is like war. You in it to win. And you're gonna do what you have to do, and you would like to think that people would be compassionate and be concerning. Really isn't. Real quickly, I don't know how many of y'all watched the Academy Awards last night. Um, Saldana, who I didn't realize was Dominican. She won last night, Afro Latina. And there was a brother who won for best costumes for Wicked. His name. Um, it was real interesting. So I do this all the time. I see the movies that are nominated for actors. You want to watch the movie. I have seen Conclave. Good movie. Good movie. But there's a movie called The Apprentice that kind of flew under the radar. Um, One of the guy who plays Roy Cohn in the movie, he was also in Succession. Um, and man, it gives you some insight into Donald Trump. The Apprentice is really about Donald Trump's coming up when he's young and has come up in New York. And it is eerie when you hear him talk about, for example, how much he admired the Soviet Union in the 80s. And so this is not new when it comes to Putin and this whole idea of a despot. This is early with him. So, what did they say that history prologue? You listen to community voices, buddy.
Voice on WNOP 6.5 FM with your
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And I had mentioned that um, the winner for best costume was Wicked. A brother named Paul, the first black man to win best costume design, and he went up against a complete unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, and Nosferatu, which is a vampire. So I haven't seen Wicked. I don't know what it looks like in terms of costume. Also, the album that I was talking about, Where's All the Flowers Gone, it's on Last Days in Time, and the Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear. Thanks. But you know what? I was at a buddy of mine's house. We just chilling in the backyard. I don't know how we got to talking about Marvin. Boy, he gets to talking, and he used to talk about this album. He said, I got it in the car. So he ran out to the car, he had the CD player in the backyard. We got the CD, and came back and played it. This one particular, oh, he loved that album. And he got mad at me because we was kids. Like, man, you should have been crying. He called me all kinds of sexual stuff. I didn't. Big can't cry. And I'm going, no, man, we just give you a hard time. We all got against albums and records that are significant, and a lot of it puts us on the couch. But yeah, he went after me strong, man. I was like, he didn't want to do the album, right? He do what you got to do, then you go on. I have to admire those people who, um, where they follow their dream and they're out. But it's a hustle, man. I mean, it's well, and I don't know how much money she gets from it, but the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which is considered one of the best albums of all time, right? But then they talk about when she's torn, she's unreliable. She shows up late. Her heart ain't in it, and maybe I don't know if she needs it, or maybe she don't need it. With Michael Jackson and his brothers, they they wanted to go on tour because that's where they made their money. And certainly, if you're going on tour with Michael Jackson, man, you can make a whole lot of money. And so that was always the pressure on Michael in terms of him wanting to go solo, but then the whole need to take care of your family, and they're not going to eat the same way they would eat, just based on what they're doing individually. I thought it was interesting. You talked about the Temptations. Otis is still touring. We got a chance to see him last year before last. He doesn't miss any of the steps, but he's still out touring, man, and it kind of breaks your heart. Um, because there's also this whole nostalgia piece that people want to hear the music, soundtrack of your youth, your young adult, when you grow up. We used to have these discussions. What was the best decade for music? It depended on usually the decade you grew up in. Pretty much. You're not going like, oh man, it was the '90s and you came up in the '70s. Then you get the whole thing about how music is so different now. I don't know. You can miss a whole lot. At first I couldn't get or clearly understand Kendrick Lamar, and I had to go back and do a different listen. But when I went back, I was going like, okay, I get it, because rap, the rhythm of the rap I grew up with is different than the rap that you hear today. I'm just saying, so you always have to sit back and then the lyrics and what people are talking about. So you got to make that adjustment. But we always want to believe that our decade was the best decade, right? And there's probably some truth to if you look in the 80s and 90s, who did they sample from? They sampled from the 70s, But in terms of creating, uh, that, that's a different piece. And I would say that the 70s, obviously, black music had impact. There was a thing on Alicia Keys' song that starts off with this keyboard, almost like cascade. I heard that. Donnie Hathaway. Yeah, that's Donnie Hathaway. And so I don't know how much Donnie Hathaway gets, his estate gets for that.
No,
No, they use it. Oh,
no,
yeah.
no, no, no. Because let me tell you how she actually got around that. Because if you listen to the bar, they changed the ending note. So if you can change it a little bit, you can get
All
around.
right, Robin Thicke.
Hey man, that's what I
All right,
did
Robin
for my
Thicke.
production.
Oh, Robin Thicke.
Yeah, man, that's
You,
how I
you
found
knew
out
the
for the
whole.
loophole.
Everybody thought it was a Marvin Gaye song.
Yeah,
Oh, it was
and he got
Marvin Gaye.
around by changing one or two notes.
No, he did get around
No,
because
got away
Marvin
with
Gaye
it.
got paid,
He got away with it
so he got sued.
until they got all the way to the portion two. He changed one or two notes, and the judge agreed with the family because of how the whole tempo. Yeah,
Did it sound like a Marvin Gaye song? I was like, man, Marvin Gaye done dropped another song.
No.
But he does.
He's not doing any of Marvin Gaye's songs. He's doing his own songs with Marvin Gaye sound. So you can sound like anybody because the person don't own the style is if you redo their song. So that's like me singing like Michael Jackson was singing a whole different song. They can't sue me for that. But if I say, man, that dude is incredible.
He's cold, man.
Incredible.
Mulholland Drive. I
Incredible.
love that. Man. That's in the soul. Love it. Anyway. Shout out to the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks. They ended up with the Southeastern Conference regular season. They shared the title with Texas. Coin flip gives them the number one seed in the tournament. Shout out to Irish Notre Dame. They won the ACC. And I'm telling you, women's college basketball, man, it's something. How about the Bucks? Don't know yet. We got a long way to go. And if people don't think Cleveland is legit, don't sleep on Cleveland. Don't sleep on Cleveland. Cavaliers, that's a good team. That's a real good team. And so my buddy and I were talking. He was saying that, well, Bobby going down, that's what really hurt the Bucks going to the championship. Yeah, even with Bobby healthy, it's going to be tough for the Bucks to get past. Cleveland to get past. But right now, I think it's Cleveland. I think they're odds on favorite to win the NBA championship this year. So that's what we have on the weekend. Documentary. Anyway, 414-444-5250. 414-5250. I just happened, I was getting off the air on Friday, and so I was going to start listening to the presser that they was having between Zelensky, Trump, and JD Vance. Saturday Night Live kind of did it. We kept saying Trump saying this is an ambush. It was a setup. One of those things when they gaslight you is that they make you feel like you're the problem. Ukraine did not invade Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. That little thing. And so and again, I was just telling you all earlier in the movie The Apprentice, Donald Trump, he's been consistent with this ideology of his for more than 30 years. And so the ability to be able to shift U.S. foreign policy isn't amazing. Now, it wasn't where in America it was always about democracy and that our foreign policy supported democracy, our ability to be able to have free elections, um, and what they want to do in Ukraine. I think a lot of this goes back to, and I kept here in the back of my mind, Charisma. One of the reasons why I think Zelensky got into office was the corruption of the administration prior to him. Um, but again, and it was something Jermaine pointed out to me, and man, talking about listening with a third ear, I heard it too. The thing that really set Trump off is when Zelensky said that right now, you have an ocean that's dividing you from this. He said, but you're going to feel it here. Talk about in America. And that's when Trump responded, don't tell us what we're going to fear, what we're going to experience. Um, I know that in America, we think because of the oceans, very difficult to invade America, but you could have terrorist attacks. We found that out with 9/11, right? And the impact it can have where it can just throw you off. So this idea that U.S. foreign policy has everything to do. Now, maybe there's some people that don't have a problem. It looks like the way that they're going to operate is China can have Asia and the Pacific, Russia can have Europe, and America will have, what we call the Western Hemisphere. This is frightening on a lot of different levels. People who normally don't pay attention to foreign policy are now taking a look because it has impact on you. If those tariffs go into place, the prices of everything is going to go up. So but that's the whole thing. Like, at the end of this movie, The Apprentice, the guy who ended up ghosting the book with Trump, Art of the Deal, Trump goes on and talks about, he says, look, you never apologize when you're wrong. You never admit that. You go on. He said, truth is what you say truth is. Sounds familiar? There, as Kelly Conway said, that there are these alternative truths and that you can say about enough for your supporters. When it comes to your supporters, they're not going to question it, but now they're going to begin to feel the pain. And so when you go up, and it's an old switch. So when you have allegedly Doge going in and we're looking for waste and fraud, why are they looking for waste and fraud? They're trying to make a justification to go in because if they do another tax cut or no extended tax cut that's currently in place right now, sunsets on September 30th of this year. They want to make those tax cuts permanent. So you have a choice. They can raise the debt limit, which they will allow America to print the money. Or you have to cut programs. Entitlements take up, and defense takes up 86% of the budget. So what we talk about entitlements? Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and then you have the whole defense budget, right? Now, supposedly, Doge was going to go over and find, it's been documented the amount of fraud and waste and bloat in the defense budget. Everybody knows that. But they're not going to cut weapon systems, where Lockheed and those folks benefit. They're going to cut personnel. So that's the deal right now. And you have conservatives who are fiscal hawks who, under no circumstances, ever wants to see the debt ceiling raised. So this is where the Dems come into, because if you have those folks who are just adamant against raising the debt limit, they're going to need Democratic votes in order to pass that. And so then the cuts. You're already seeing now when they just stop making payments. When they closed the Medicaid portal, that has real life consequences. And so there are people out there who say that, look, Keon used to say, I've been a G-man all my life. I've been a government guy all my life. Here's what I'm clear on. Where will we be without these government services? Now, can government services get better? Can it be more efficient? The answer to that question is yes. But that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, oh, we're not going to do this. And then there are people out there who have a problem. Republicans have had a problem with Social Security since the onset of Social Security in 1935. They've had a problem with Medicare since the onset of Medicare in 1965. So Republicans have always had an issue with that. They had an issue with the whole expansion of health care to Americans, right? So under the, what was it? It was 50 something times, almost 60 times, they tried to end the Affordable Care Act. Who does that? That impacts a lot of MAGA folks who you don't think about. Oh, we talk about them because when you think of welfare, you think poor, black, brown women. You don't think about something like Medicaid, which benefits. So if your mother has to go to a nursing home, okay, chances are she's going to need Medicaid, right, in order to cover the cost of the nursing home. So you begin to make cuts. What are you going to do? So people can kind of understand and act like this stuff ain't going to affect us. It is going to affect you. It's going to affect you. When George W. Bush was in office, remember they talked about privatizing Social Security? Because Social Security is an entitlement. What is entitlement mean? Entitlement means that people are eligible, you have to pay the benefit, the full benefit. That's why they changed AFPC to Canada. AFPC used to be an entitlement. In 1995, you go through the Social Security Act, and you can see where it was no longer language they used, there'd be no barrier, right, for people to be able, otherwise eligible for the program. That's not the case with Canada. They define you as woman, right? They can be more subjective in denying you that benefit. All right. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see if you can reach out possibly today with a special sunshine levels in the high and mid 40s. Winds out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, chance for some rain or late. Cloudy skies at low near 40. By Tuesday, chance for showers again, cloudy and mid 47 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for rain early with mixing snow. Cloudy skies, temperatures set for mid 50s and so we fall through the day. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Chiefs, and 60 a voice.